Right, welcome back. In the last video we looked at developing some creative designs for our sketches. We're using the AQA RM GCSE specification, and this is not the new specification, I think it's 2019 that the new one will be examined, so this is the current existing 2014 spec. And we looked at creating some developed ideas around our initial idea. The aim here was to display creativity, originality and some flair. But as it stands, this page is worth a maximum of 5 marks, the way the current marking scheme works. But with the addition of some labels, we are moving towards gaining an extra 10 marks. And those labels take two forms. Those labels take the form of material properties and social, moral, environmental and sustainability issues. So the first thing we're going to look at is labelling our materials based on the properties that they possess. Now this is very simple. We have a list of materials that we know are sort of classic RM materials, and we know what properties they possess, and we are just going to splash them on the page. I like to suggest an average of about 5 material properties comments per page and 5 social, moral, environmental and sustainability comments per page. If you're doing 3 of these pages, that ends up about 15 comments. You're convincing the examiner that you are taking full consideration of the materials based on their properties. So here we go. Let's start over here on the left. We looked at various ways we could construct things. So let's start with this one here. This is flat designs. So straight away we know we're going to want to consider plywood. Plywood is good flat. So we'll suggest plywood. And then we're going to just write down flat and stable. We don't need to write in full sentences. Something that just demonstrates an awareness is good enough. It's also very strong. We want a darker layer. Here we could have a birch face ply for the colour. We could, because we've got ply on top, we could then have a darker coloured wood. So a classic darker coloured wood, sapele, or dark colour. We could have a layer of that inside there. Let's move on. Here, rather than needing something to be flat, we need something just to be light and dark. So let's pick some different materials. We could go for birch and sapele again, but let's show the examiner that we know a bit more than that. Let's go for some red oak for dark colour. Ash, which is a very pale wood, for light colour. Now as it stands, these labels don't really stand out from the page. So at the end of the video I'm going to show you a technique for making these labels pop out from the page so that it's really obvious to the examiner what you're doing. Here we want this chessboard approach. We're going to show our understanding of some different materials again. This time we're going to say beech. For the colour, it's a nice sort of warm colour, plus it's hard. And we might want it to be, why do we want this one to be hard? To avoid dents. So let's just justify what we're doing. Now another obvious place where we can introduce some interesting materials is in the feet. Let's begin to add some other materials rather than just woods. We've got a lot over the left here that demonstrates our understanding of woods. Let's prove to the examiner that we understand some different materials. Let's talk possibly about this little foot here. Let's make this brass for gold colour and durability. Brass is a nice, got a beautiful gold colour, but nice and strong. This one here, it could be spring steel for flexibility. Let's introduce some plastics in here. Let's go for a LDP, low density polyethylene for moldability. It could be put in the vacuum for, I forgot what it's called now. Injection molding machine. And it comes in a wide range of colours. So we've got some metals, some plastics, some more metals. We could turned oak for attractive grain structure. Let's just throw a smart material in there as well. Let's talk about this being polymorph for moldability. So that way we're just throwing another material in there. Let's move over to this side, see if we can throw some material to this one. PVA, why would we use PVA? It's very strong, non-toxic, that ticks some of our sustainability, environmentally moral stuff. Dries, invisible. That's important to us. The bolts will be steel may rust as a negative, so we could have stainless steel, or we could have nickel coated. The dowels here, dowels are usually beech for hardness. So again, all the way around we're showing an understanding of the materials we're selecting based on their properties. These ones, you can either go for a contrasting colour for these butterflies, you certainly want them to be strong. Oak for strength and appearance. Right, so now we've got these labelled. I'm just going to pause the video, we'll come back. Next video, and we'll show how to make these really pop out of the page for the material properties one. Now, you want to make it as easy as you can for the examiner to give you marks, or your teacher to give you marks. They're looking for material properties, they're looking for social, moral, environmental and sustainability comments. So don't make them work for it, you give it to them. What I tell my students to do is anything that's material properties, you underline in red. So they then, all they need to do is look for the red comments. The minute they see those, they are happy that you've got an understanding of what materials you're using and why. So I'm just going to go around now and underline everything that is a material property statement and red pen.